Hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and you're tuned into IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. I am happy once again that you have joined me. And if you're new here and you're watching us, well, do me a favor, launch your camera app on your phone. It's really easy to do. Then point over on the QR code, touch the yellow oval. You'll get my link tree just as easy as that. If you're not watching us and you're listening to us, such as on a podcast or audio only, then just go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, great creations and content to inspire and improve your life. We start on a Saturday, we roll all the way through the weekend and through the week, and we finish up on a Friday with our master topic. And I do want to thank you if you're watching us, whether that's 12 noon, 12 midnight, 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 2:30 a.m., 2:30 p.m., whenever you watch us. Thank you so much for making the choice to have inspirations for your life a daily part of your motivational diet. All right, let's get right in with the topic, shall we? Here it is, everyone. How to Break Out of Your Shell, Series 2, Show 27, Episode 6. So, Series 2 means we're in our second year, Show 27, and we're on the sixth episode. All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about how to break out of your shell. I know we've been talking about this quite a bit. And the reason is that I think a lot of people, they want to embrace this. However, they don't because they get caught in this, cluster. And they're like, well, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And it's not that they don't know what to do, it's that they get confused, right? So tonight, we're going to talk a little more about how to break out of your shell. Now, the thing that's important is how do you commit when others won't? Because that's an issue with people not wanting to come out of their shell. And you might say, John, I have no clue what you're talking about. Well, the question really comes down to is how do you commit when others won't? How? Well, I think it comes down to the position you're in, right? You got to give someone their space. You got to refrain on any kind of judgment. Okay. No ultimatums and any stuff like that. Let's put all that away. Don't force anything, including don't force them to do something and don't force a feeling out of them. Don't do that. And the other important thing is that remember where you stand and allow them to stand where they are, okay, without you having to dominate them. I think that's really, really important. So, talking more about this, remember that we have to guide people out of their shells. Don't force them, right? I like to say we nurture them out of their shells. So, like with the chick, right? We don't actually do much to get them out of the shell. We kind of put the egg in the right thing. We guide them to give them the nice warm light, but we let them kind of do it themselves, right? So, guiding is a key factor to breaking out of your shell. If you're a dictator, well, then you're just going to go nowhere. And you're going to wonder why you're going nowhere. And it's because you're trying to change everyone, you're trying to change the world. And that might sound like a good thing to do, but the truth of the matter is, it's not. If you're becoming this dictator, then you are not helping people become a better version of themselves. You're helping people become what you want them to be. Let me say that again. You're helping them become what you want them to be, not what they should be. So, guide, don't dictate, nurture, right? That's really, really paramount, okay? Guide them out of their shells. How do you do that? Well, you guide someone by talking to them. You can listen to them and let them talk, but maybe you'll ask a question like, well, that's an interesting observation. How do you feel about that? Let them try to talk their way. When they do this, you're going to be like, oh, wow. And they're like, gee, you're really smart and you're great. But all you did was allow them to talk. You allowed them to talk. That's all you did. You allowed them to talk. And so nurturing is extremely, extremely powerful. I mean, it is so very powerful. but we have to have patience when we nurture and when we guide. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that there are different types of shells. No, I'm not talking about seashells at the shore. I'm talking about different kinds of shells. So you have shells of people that are in relationship issues, right? There's a relationship shell. There's a shell of you being able to do public speaking. There's a shell of you being able to present. Okay. There is a shell whenever there's a conflict. You have a shell that you go into because you don't want to have that, right? There's a shell when you have to listen. Now, you might say, John, this is crazy, but it's the truth. You see, just because you came out of the shell for public speaking doesn't mean you can easily come out of the shell for something else. Now, you can, but it takes a little bit more. And I always tell people, come out of the shell that's going to have the least amount of resistance. So if there's a shell and the shell is like, gee, I really want to talk, but you know what? I probably am less uncomfortable about listening. So I come out of that shell first. You see, when you come out of one shell, it's like you're now motivated to do something else. Now, there's no real secret in that. It's just that when you have one little mini victory, you celebrate it. And then you do something else. Okay? Do you think that they started building the Eiffel Tower as the first thing in Italy? No. They worked on other things first. All right? Do you think they started building Rome right away? No. They built other smaller things first. Do you think that the first time you were so great on stage, they always were that way? No. You made mistakes. And I like to go back to the example I have of the dog. So there's this dog, and let's say you're over your friend's house, and you're like, well, so the dog opens the door, the dog goes out. Like, wow, that's a smart dog. I wish my dog did that. And he kind of chuckles. He says, oh, well, you weren't here 2 weeks ago. What happened 2 weeks ago? Well, you wouldn't have thought the dog was so smart. Well, what do you mean? Oh, he must have spent like hours trying to open that door and barking and like just going at it crazy. And finally, he was able to open the door a little bit, and then he got it, and then he just kept doing it. And then he realized that his effort paid off. Do you celebrate your effort when it pays off? Or do you only pay attention to it when it's something grand, when it's something vast? Wise person once said, a big journey starts out with the first step. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You don't have to have $1 million in your pocket now to become a millionaire. But you do have to have a pocket to be able to put that million in someday. So I think when we appreciate where these things are coming from, why we're getting these, it should give us a little more of a perspective. And how to break out of your shell is really nothing more than a perspective of how you see life. It's a filter. It's a pair of glasses you have on, and you are seeing the world one way or seeing it another way. And remember, you can choose to see the world any way you want to see it. My whole thing to you is don't allow the world to be something that someone else imposes on you, because you're going to get so frustrated with it that you're not going to want to do anything. Why? Just like the dog, if I would have opened the door for that dog, he would have given up and probably not wanted to open the door. So you have to understand what that means. It means that you have to really embrace what's going on in life. You know what that means? Does that make sense to you? You know what that means? I think a lot of times we want it to mean something, but then for whatever reason, we don't because we just don't have an answer. And we feel that we need to know the answer like today. But really, that answer may not come today. That answer may come tomorrow. That answer may come when we least expect it. That answer might be the whole reason that you have started on your journey. Now, I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to get discouraged. It's a fact. So let's focus on what we know right now. Let's focus on what we're doing right now. Let's focus on what we can celebrate right now. And pretty soon, you'll have more things to celebrate. It's kind of like the adage I talk about, let's be grateful for the things we have, even the littlest things, and more things in our life will show up that we can become grateful for. So breaking out of our shell is different for different types of shells. And again, they're proverbial shells, whether it's a relationship shell, a work shell, career shell, a skill shell, whether it's getting over embarrassment, whether it's a self-confidence shell, right? And they all have confidence in them, but I think understanding that how you break out of a shell in the office with your peers is different than how you'd break out of a shell with your friends, right? Or how would you break out of a shell if you suddenly were a shy musician and you played well, but you just didn't want to play in public? Until maybe your friend says, hey, you're pretty damn good. No, I'm not. You are. You're really good. You should play for some of us. And then he agrees to play for a couple of you, and you're all applauding. It's like, now you're building his confidence up. And now what you're doing is you're naturally allowing him, okay? And you are nurturing him. You're kind of coaching him. But what you're really doing, yes, is you're guiding him out of his shell. Sometimes people don't show up in our world that help us get out of our shell. So the only person that get us out of that shell? You're looking at yourself in the mirror. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It has been an amazing privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. We will wrap up this whole master topic tomorrow on how to break out of your shell. And we'll summarize everything and give you some points on how you can do this easily. But if you have somebody that's trying to get out of a shell, chances are if you help them get out of their shell, they'll probably help you get out of one of yours in the future. That's a great way to build a friendship. Again, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I hope you guys have an amazing evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Be well.